the Joshua Morales Podcast.
Just for a little bit of context, what do you do and how did you get into it?
I started in 2006 because my uncle was the previous owner of AMCO, and he restarted again in 2006 in Houston. He told me, hey, moved in, didn't know what the hell I was doing. Started running my own office, didn't know what the hell I was selling, but I was able to sell. So started in 2006, moved to Houston, and now I'm marketing. I used to be an agent. I used to sell, and now I'm marketing.
Nice.
So I'm working for a company.
So marketing in your industry, what does that entail? Move the mic a little bit more this way so I can catch
Like
you.
this?
Yeah, right there.
Okay. It takes me going to train, make sure that they're selling my product over anybody else's.
Watch your braces.
Sorry.
This whole thing is very...
I got it.
And podcasting is new for a lot of people.
I know. I was like, everything's so intensified. My kids were watching a YouTube video on the biting and the...
what ASMR
I have
or something?
no freaking idea, but I was literally glued to the TV for 20 minutes, and I
Really?
felt stupid afterwards, but it's
My
okay.
daughter is like, Dad, shut up. Listen.
That's insane.
I was like, that's ASMR. I was like, okay, that's annoying.
It is, but I still watched it for 20 minutes. It was ridiculous, but...
But anyways, back to so what is the marketing in your industry?
I make sure that
entail?
they're writing. I deal with a lot of independent agents. I have over 300 agents under me. I take care from Houston, Corpus Christi, Laredo, and here I go help out in any other territory that might need me. So I go train, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, selling, make sure they're not doing anything fraudulent, audit, and just be on top of them. Make sure that they're one of the ones that they're writing through, because they have the ability to write through 20 carriers.
Okay.
So I want to be one of those.
And this is what industry is this?
Auto insurance.
Auto insurance. Okay. So I'm sure there's a ton of regulations, right?
Yes, there is. I have no idea. That's him.
Okay. Come on. So my dog is in the room, so people can't see.
Oh yeah. I was like, that's him.
But it is on video too, so.
There you go.
But I'm gonna tell you, he's very annoying, and at certain times he hasn't chilled out yet.
It's okay, because next time you invite me, if you ever invite me again, I'm gonna bring my dogs, and it's
Oh,
gonna be
geez.
game on.
All right, so what do you think in your industry is? Do you have to be introverted or extroverted? And the reason I ask is because sales, I feel, is an extroverted person's
It is.
game.
It is.
So are you extroverted
In-
only in business?
I am.
So touch on that.
I am. I'm actually very outgoing. I'm actually one of the most annoying reps there is. I'm constantly on them. I socialize with them. I feel that you have to build a personal relationship with them. But as soon as I'm home at 6 o'clock, I want nothing to do with human interaction at all, just because I'm so exhausted from multiple personalities. And what people don't understand is that I walk into 5 offices a day for the most part. And everybody has a different persona. One of them will tell me about all the personal issues they're going through. So I come out drained of that particular visit. And then the next visit, everybody's like happy-go-lucky. They're getting married. Baby shower is happy. It's my emotions are all over the place because of the vibes. I'm real big on vibes. The vibes that they kind of feed off me. So once I'm home, weekends when my kids are home, I try not to go out. I'm in my couch with a glass of wine, watching my TV, not talking to anybody.
I think that I ran across that a lot lately with people that I interview that are they're going towards they're putting their careers first, right?
Yes.
So I feel like they're always out there, they're always doing something, and they're feeding off of people's energies. And I that's true, because that happens to me a lot. I meet a ton of people a day. I talk to a lot of people, and I'm in meetings all the time. And most of it's business. I kind of don't like to I guess juggle business and personal relationships, but I know personal relationships help the business grow, and that long-term relationship leads to long-term revenue, which is what I like in business, right? But it's true, because I do get drained. I'm working all day, and then my kids get back, and I'm tired. It's oh, okay, and then I got to do this.
Exactly.
So I'm in dad mode now. But my job is 24 hours, 24/7, right? It's social media, so I'm working all day long. But the cool thing about that is I can work from my phone. So going out, going back, developing relationships, it's super exhausting.
It is. There's we have a convention every year in San Antonio, and it's a week long. And normally I'll get there on Sunday, and it ends till Saturday. I hide in my room for the like 3 days because I know that it's a lot of agents from everywhere, and it's just the interacting, and everybody hasn't seen you in a long time, and everybody wants to ask you all the personal questions, and it's just exhausting. So I'll hide out 3 days out of the week, and I'm like, okay, y'all can see me on Thursday through Saturday, and that's that.
That's it.
Yeah, that's a lot of energy just everywhere.
So how do you juggle family life and business?
I try. It's hard. Like you said, it's work mode and then mom mode. This morning I was up at 5:30 making tacos, right? And I kind of have to go. And I'm still thinking about emails that I didn't send out yesterday because we had an issue with one of our programs. So I'm going based on that. Kids are talking to me about school. It's just a lot to do. I do the best I can.
Yeah.
I don't remember names. None of my kids' friends' names. I don't know them. I always confuse them. I always call somebody else something else. And I've known them for a long time. But it's just so overwhelming as far as everything comes. And then I deal with teenagers. I have a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 17-year-old. So there's always drama there. So I have kid drama, teenage drama, and I have agent drama. Yeah, life. So it's kind of like, oh my God, there's a lot of drama everywhere.
Yeah. So I guess how do you detach yourself from work? Because I know having kids obviously is a huge thing, and you're trying to juggle family, you're trying to juggle work. Is it a bad thing that nowadays people are focused on the American dream?
I don't think so. My main goal in life is to make sure that I have something stable for them when they grow up. Being a single parent has really made me refocus on that. I have cut back a lot on working. I used to work with a previous company, and I switched over last year to a new carrier. And I spent a lot more time with the kids because the previous carrier kind of, it was a bigger company. So it took a lot more of my time. They would constantly call me. I could be on vacations and they can hear like the little gambling machines going, and they'd be like, "Hey, Janie, I have a question." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm on vacation." "Well, I want you to, your intake on, I'm hiring this particular person. What do you think?" And it was just over, my phone would not stop. This company's allowed me a little bit more freedom. I'm able to kind of shut down at 7 o'clock from my phone and emails, focus on the kids, do homework. It's just been an overwhelming year in general for me. Like I told you, I've gone through the divorce. So now I'm a single parent. So now any reinforcement that I had at home, it's on me.
Right.
Cooking, boyfriends, girlfriends, drama, going out, taxi, everything. So it's hard.
You haven't gotten to the rhythm yet.
I haven't, and it's been a year, but I travel a lot too.
Right.
I'm out 2 weeks out of the month.
Okay.
So I'll do Houston.
That's quite a bit.
Week. It is.
Wow.
It is. So I feel like my life is a suitcase. Come home, I'm unpacking just to repack again because I'm going to Corpus, or I'll do something crazy like have to go help in Dallas. And my kids are kind of used to that rhythm. During the summer, I'm able to take them with me though. Mm-hmm. During the summer, they travel with me. If I spend a week in Houston, they'll go with me. It's gotten a little bit harder now that my daughter is 17 and she's going to college, but we've managed. And my life is chaos.
Yeah. It's a controlled chaos.
It's controlled chaos. Non-controlled, actually.
So let me ask you this. I heard a statistic actually this morning. I was listening to, I forget, I was listening to something, and a guy was talking about how social media has, I guess, it's kind of pushed kids to be depressed, to be suicidal. And the reason why is because they're keeping up with people on social media. And I don't have teenagers. So this is a question that I'm asking you, and I'm sure a lot of people want to know, is have you seen that in your children, like where they're just on their phones all the time? They're just plugged into their phone.
Well, see, we have a rule. Dinner in my house, there's no cell phones.
Okay.
So 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, there's actually no cell phones at all. Unless mom gets a work phone, then I have to run to the computer or do whatever I need to do. But other than that, there is no cell phones. I don't allow them to be on the PS4 because they use that Fortnite a lot. Mm-hmm. I don't allow them to be on the PS4 all week, with the exception of Wednesday, which is they don't have homework, at Fridays and Saturdays.
Okay.
And that's limited. Just because during summer, it did get overwhelming where they would be up till 3, 4 in the morning playing with their friends, asleep all day, and there was actually no routine because there was no school going on.
Right.
And for me, it was easier because I was able to get out of work, out to work about 30, 45 minutes later because I didn't have to drop anybody off in the mornings. Yeah. So I have that controlled. I do believe that social media has taken over. And we went on vacation 2 weeks ago to Vegas, and their cell phones were limited. I was like, we're here as a family. You can take a couple of photos. You don't need to be uploading everything we're doing, and kind of to control over that.
How do you feel about privacy as far as that? Like our children, like for example, for me, I'm always posting pictures of my kids, right? At a certain point, I don't want that many people to know about my life, right? So I kind of limit a lot of stuff that I put out. So a lot of it's business oriented, right? How do you feel about parents that overshare their kids? Like it's just putting everything out there.
I'm very private with my kids too, and you have me on social media, and you know that half the crap I put is crap, right? Like just stuff that comes to my head. I feel that you need to have some sort of privacy with them because you never know, especially me being a single parent, I think, and allowing people to start joining your social media when you start meeting outside your normal circle. It's hard. My kids are mine. I won't even allow somebody to go to my house. I have very I'm very Mexican like that. I have that culture where my dad always taught me, if anybody's going to go to your house, you have to make sure that you know them, remember that your kids are there. So I'm the same way with social media. I feel that my kids should be limited, or whatever I post on my kids should be limited. Nobody should know what they're doing.
Do you feel like we were the last generation that were able to go play outside and do those things?
I do.
You can't do that stuff anymore.
I do.
It's like it's so scary now. Like I would love for my daughter to go hang out with friends in the neighborhood.
I do too.
But it's too dangerous.
I don't think it's dangerous. I think the danger has always been there. I just feel that now with the social media, it's just so out there. I believe that we encountered the same dangers when we were little. It's just...
I don't know that because I remember I would leave in the morning and my parents would like, just go do whatever you want to do. So I'd probably leave like at 9 in the morning during the summer, get back like at 10 o'clock at night, and we'd figure it out. Like I'd go find food somewhere at a friend's house or something. But we would be doing stupid stuff.
See, but we have survival skills. My kids don't have survival skills. Like if they're asleep all day because they won't eat for themselves. My daughter can survive, maybe, possibly with bread. But my boys, no, sir.
My friend actually trained his kids to get up and pour cereals. So he lowered all the stuff in the refrigerator. So it's like a hand reach and just pour it themselves.
And how old are these kids?
I think he's been doing that since they were 5, 4.
See, I have a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old that will starve at home if I don't get home. And they'll be like, you didn't bring food? I'm like, you've been home all day.
So I was watching a post the other day that said they want to bring back, I guess, homeroom skills or whatever it is, where they actually teach kids how to cook and stuff like that in school.
What we had in
yeah,
high
we had
school.
that,
Yeah.
but we don't have that stuff anymore.
They don't have a lot of this stuff. And I feel that school these days are kind of just crap. Realistically, I mean, they're doing I appreciate the college thing, but they're not really giving them the chance to actually go out there and go to college and experience that lifestyle. So by the time they're done with high school and they finish with an associate degree and they continue to go to college, they have no knowledge. They don't know what
like
it's
real world.
Yeah, real world. They don't have any knowledge. I feel like our kids nowadays are so open-minded yet close-minded, if that makes any sense.
I know it does.
None of them want to start working. I started working when I was 16. The minute I was able to get a job, I got a job. And I feel that kids nowadays are a little bit slower with that process, trying to get, they don't know what struggling is.
What do you think, what do you attribute that to?
Social media.
You think so?
I think so.
So I guess another question would be, how millennials, I'm sure you have millennials.
I do.
So how have you seen their work ethic versus, I guess, a little older generation or even younger generation?
They don't have work ethics. I firmly believe that they feel entitled. I feel a lot of and my kids included. I feel that they don't know what it's like to see your parent actually struggle, because I've always figured it out. And I feel that they don't have a work ethic.
Do you think that that's going to be like a crutch for them? Like older, like when they get older, they're going to be like, well, our parents always provided for us. Like we never have to struggle. Like I want to get my daughter and my son out of the house by 18. Like that's the goal.
Yeah.
Right. And in our culture, I know that we stay till like 30.
Yeah. Be like 45 and living in
I need to leave. But I feel like I want to be able to prepare them enough. But I think now that this generation doesn't want to work or is trying to find an easy way out to do stuff, it's going to be harder to push them out. Or I could be completely wrong. Maybe they just want to get out by 18.
I feel like, no, my daughter, like I said, is 17 and she has absolutely no desire of leaving my house, you know?
I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
I don't either. I don't either. But, you know, when I was 17, 18, that was the goal. Like, okay, you're going to move out at 18 and start your own life. I don't see that anymore. And one of the things that I've always told my daughter is like, a lot of her friends, her parents are kind of like, hey, get yourself somebody with money, make yourself somebody, meet somebody with money, make sure that they can provide for you. I'm like, no, ma'am, you become the provider. You make sure that you're stable enough to be able to keep it up. And then if the guy comes, great. If he doesn't, you're still able to make it on your own. I don't understand why parents say, okay, this is the way to do it. That's not the way to do it.
Do you think that's more of a Mexican mom culture type of thing? Because
Possibly.
I remember my mom saying it to my sisters when they were growing older.
See,
like,
my
you
dad
need to
never,
find a doctor.
Yeah.
Like,
See, my dad never told me that.
Yeah.
My dad always told me, just be happy.
Yeah.
And my grandma always told me that I needed to find myself a black guy. So I'm still looking.
Still looking.
Haven't found him yet.
So on that subject of that, right? So what are your thoughts on that the whole, I guess, job related type of thing, where these kids are going to end up being in the work culture, right? Eventually, they're going to be contributing back into society, but they don't have the necessary skills per se.
I don't know
like,
what's going to
what
happen.
do you see in the next 20, 30
I
years?
I don't know. Yesterday, I went to Walmart, and I guarantee you, all the registers were like, so you do them yourself. Is the self checkout or the ones that the longer ones? And I'm like, this is what our world is coming to. There really no employees.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is being run by machinery, robots. I really feel that's where the future is going.
Yeah, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So I was reading a statistic the other day that said that at the malls, right, for example, retail is going to be the first place that goes. Like, Amazon's already taken up another $20 billion. Do you use Amazon?
Oh my God, especially when I'm drinking. Like, I need everything.
So you're more likely to buy when you've been drinking at nighttime, I'm assuming?
But the only reason I ran into you with you in the mall was because it was during the week, and I didn't think that there was going to be a lot of humans. So I was like, okay, I'm going in and out. I went strictly for my kids and then walked out, and it was great because there was very limited humans there.
Yeah, there weren't too many.
There weren't too many, but other than that, I do my shopping online. I do Amazon.
So what skills do you think that kids are going to need in the future to be able to find a job?
Probably technology, probably be able to do some mobile app. YouTube is really taking over. I feel that everybody wants to be a YouTube star, which I think is ridiculous because they have literally no talent. But some of them don't. Some of them do, but literally, my kid will spend the full day on Saturday watching other kids play Fortnite when he has the game at home.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand.
What do you think that is? Because my daughter does that too. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. It's like you can play it. You can get to his level too. No, they're literally in front of the TV seeing him play.
That's crazy because those kids can make a ton of money.
Yeah,
they're like making six figures.
I know.
Easy.
I know.
Like the good ones.
We're in the wrong business.
Yeah, I know. We're playing video games all day.
I got this. I think I suck at video games. Unless they bring Nintendo back with the 2 buttons, I'm not doing it.
Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
There was I was listening to I think it was in Beverly Hills that some famous actor was complaining that his neighbor just bought a $7 million house and he's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is
That's
insane.
crazy.
And the fact that the kids are all upon this, like Jeffree Star is one of the biggest YouTubes that my daughter watches. We go to Houston, she walks into the Morphe store and she buys everything and has no necessity for it. There's no purpose for it. But because it has Jeffree Star in it, she'll purchase. Like, I was like, really?
Yeah, it's interesting. The branding part just
It
pulls in
is.
kids. They were also talking about that, like the branding and advertising, since America's geared towards advertising. We're in an advertising culture, right? And like Britain or something, you won't see all that stuff. Like, I was last night at one of my clients' places, and he's British, so he has a real thick accent. He's like, yeah, when we watch football, not American football, soccer, like, you won't see any advertisements. Like, American football is made for advertising. It's made to gear people to buy stuff.
Well, just think of it. The YouTubes nowadays, you're watching something and then an ad comes out now. And that didn't used to happen anymore. But now it's
there's two ads.
Yeah.
1 and 2 back to back.
Which
crazy.
is insane.
Yeah.
It interrupts my music.
And I apologize because I am one of those advertisers.
Sorry. You're good.
But the crazy part is that they're so effective. Like, I don't know if you know this, but you can actually import email addresses, phone numbers, names, addresses into Google, into Facebook. and make a lookalike audience based off of those. So what happens is all those people share like attributes, characteristics. So Facebook will actually make another audience based off of all that stuff, serve ads to all these people that are like these people, and give them relevant content.
That is ridiculous. Like,
crazy.
that is crazy. It is.
It's crazy.
It is.
It's information has become the number one asset over oil. I don't know if you know that.
No, I did not.
It's insane.
I'm so old school. Like, I have an old soul. Like, I feel that with the exception of online shopping when I'm drinking wine and ordering a bunch of random stuff, I don't like technology, really. I just like normal. Hulu's the new normal. I mean, who uses cable now? Hulu, Netflix? No.
I still pay for cable.
I do too, but I don't use it.
Yeah.
I don't use it. With the exception of baseball. I will turn on
you're a huge baseball fan.
I'm a huge baseball fan.
That's awesome. I got to film Major League Baseball in Mexico.
I saw that.
That was awesome.
I can't believe you didn't bring me a boyfriend. That was your
Dominican
one job.
Republic.
Yes, please.
We actually went to Dominican Republic to do humanitarian work years ago. And there was a baseball field out there. I think I forget his name. What's the main Dominican Republic guy?
Big Papi?
Sosa. Yeah,
Sammy Sosa.
Yeah, Sammy Sosa.
Okay.
He was from there, and baseball's a huge deal over there.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. But that's like their way out to get out of that poor
Of course,
country.
but I mean, look at them. They play amazing and they're beautiful to look at. Win-win situation for me.
Win-win.
For me, at least. I don't know about the world.
So let's touch on that then. Going from you were married when we first met, right? And you had children at the time, right? Okay, let me word this correctly. How did you transition into single life, coming from marriage, having children, being married so long?
I was married for 16 years. I've been officially separated, divorced for a year. Prior to that, we had
1 year.
1 year.
1 year.
First, prior to that, we had already been having issues. So it's been 3 years total. It's been crazy. I have a lot of single friends, and a lot of them have kind of gone into the route of dating right away. I can't get there. I am so goal oriented and I want to take over the world that dating has not come easy to me. I haven't looked, but just the dating in general is not the same as when we were in high school. And I know it's hard to compare high school to now, but at least somebody would get to know you and talk to you and, you know, have that process. The first thing that comes out of somebody's mouth is, hey, when are we going to have sex?
Really?
Yeah. So that's not what I'm about. I think one of the reasons that I've been so successful is because I've kept it in my pants. And I plan to do so. So I don't know if I really transitioned to single life. The only time I really feel lonely is when everybody has plans and I'm home on a Friday night by myself watching Netflix.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't feel the desire to be with somebody. I feel that I was married for so long, and I dragged somebody along with me because I kept pulling and pulling, and I wanted to take over the world. And the person I was married to, he was a great dad and everything, but he didn't have the same ambition as I did.
Right.
So it's hard to juggle that. And I was working all the time. I was pulling the household, and, you know, he was helping me with the kids. But going from that to being by myself on the couch, actually relaxing and enjoying and being able to work at 7 o'clock without somebody telling me something, that to me is peaceful and amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I don't get the, because I'm married. I'm still married,
Yeah.
right? So that whole single life, transitioning into that part, you're talking about like people are just after sex.
Yes.
Talk about that, because I'm interested in the. I think your phone's ringing.
Oh, you're fine.
I think the transition of where we used to be when we were dating, like when I was dating when I was younger, it was always meeting somebody, going out to Taco Bell.
Exactly.
Like having
conversations, talking on the phone.
So I don't know anything about this new world that's here. So touch on that, like the people that you meet.
Well, first of all, my industry is very sexual. I feel that men are after sex, and that's one of the main reasons women advance. I don't want to be that. I've always kept to myself. Even when I was married, I had to keep it to myself. But even being single now, and that's what I explained, going to the convention, everybody's kind of just sleeping around with everybody. Everybody kind of just mixes partners. One of the first questions I got asked when I started marketing was, when are you going to jump on my dick?
Wow.
From one of my agents, who's now a really good friend of mine, right? Yeah. But it's like that is the mentality of the man. Now, I deal with a lot of multimillionaire men who feel entitled. So having to deal with that on a daily basis, I feel like I've become kind of a man too. I have a very vulgar language. I will cuss a lot. But that is one of the first questions that comes on to me. Is like, hey, are we gonna sleep together? Hey, are we
Yeah.
gonna do this? It's like, you don't even know me, but I think you're beautiful. Okay, well, what do I like? What do
Yeah.
I want to do? Call me old school, but I still want you to think about me.
Right.
You know?
Do you feel like you had to develop that? Okay, so obviously that wasn't your character, right? You had to build that character,
I had to.
meeting these people.
I had to.
So touch on that then, because you're thrown into this industry where it's male dominated.
It is male dominated.
So how did you have to change it? When did you figure that out?
I figured it out as soon as I started. When I first got it on, because I literally shook his hand, and that's what he told me.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I cannot. I have to keep my posture. I cannot get mad at him yet because I don't have the relationship with. Now, anytime he'll tell me, he's like, I've been after you for 10 years and
Wow.
you still don't, put out. I'm like, yeah, look, and you still keep writing. So
Yeah.
something's working, right? But yeah, you have to grow thick skin. And a lot of people, there's a lot of expectations. You won't rise higher. My previous boss was actually one of the biggest hoes out there. You know, he was sleeping around constantly, had all these women that he was messing around with, and they got different things depending on the woman. They would either get incentives or they would get whatever it was. So it was just dealing with that, seeing that firsthand, being that my boss, my ex-boss was like this. I had to be like, okay, I have to be on my A game and I have to grow thick skin and I have to talk.
Yeah.
So when I first got divorced, my boss actually told me, he's like, hey, so when are you going to sleep with me now that you're divorced? I'm like, you wish. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. You need to stop that because that is unethical.
Right.
Whatever you're doing with the girls, I really don't give a shit who you're fucking or who you're not fucking. Sorry. But you're not going to mess around with me like that. You're not going to talk to me like that. So.
Yeah, I think it's important to draw that line in the beginning of the relationships because, especially in business,
It is.
like I always find it hard to, like we were talking about earlier, is mix business and pleasure, right? Because clients will invite me out to drinks, right? I mean, I'll go, I'll talk to them, but I make it a point to like let them know like this is business. Like I'm only interested in growing your business because that's a reflection of who I am, right?
Exactly.
And I have to build a reputation. The last thing I want to do is have a reputation where I'm sleeping around with all my clients and stuff like that. I was like, no.
But even if you did have that reputation, it wouldn't look as bad as you as it would me.
Yeah,
Do you know
that's
what
true.
I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I always had to be very careful, even who I was talking to, and I always had to keep that line. Conventions, for example, I have a really good friend of mine who's in Houston, and he instantly became my work boyfriend. He would protect me everywhere. He was always with me. He would never leave me alone, just because of the scenarios that we would be put on and placed on. Now, with a divorce came on board, it was kind of like, okay, now use your divorce to kind of start getting into the guy's head and building business. I was like, that's not what I want.
Right.
That's not the way I want to present myself, or that's not the card I'm going to play. Oh, I'm getting divorced now. You can send me business. Maybe we can go out and have drinks. It was never like that.
Yeah.
I do want to be on the top, but I want to know. I want them to know my value.
Right.
And I have a really good backbone. My uncle, the reason I started, he's a multimillionaire. He actually told me he was gonna go on a jet, on his own private jet,
Nice.
next week to New York. I was like, I want to be, I want to be like you when I grow up. But those are the mentors that I have. That he's always kept, that straight line and always maintained himself. As a woman, it's a lot harder because it's so easy to fall into temptation because of the status.
Right.
I feel that you can build your own status on your own without being sexually involved with somebody.
So you touched on something that I've seen often on social media, and they're called work boyfriends.
Uh-huh.
Do you feel like that has come about because there's so many praying guys out there?
Yeah, I believe so.
And so touch on that because I mean, obviously you're getting a work boyfriend. I'm putting it in air quotes because you want to feel safe or you want to have that comfort. Like, okay, look, I'm taken.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
I'm being taken care of.
Yeah.
So touch on that. Like, why is that phenomenon around? Because I don't think nobody ever talks about it, but I see it quite often.
And he's been my work boyfriend for 10 years, right? And we're not in the same company anymore, but he still takes care of me. He's from Houston, so whenever I work Houston, he kind of goes out with me and makes sure that I'm okay. The reason I did it was obviously I had my ex-boss after me, so he hated this particular person because he was always with me and always protecting me. So I used them as that. I used them because the industry is so ugly. I don't feel that I trusted anybody enough to where I can be drinking with somebody and be alone with them just
Right.
because you never knew what you were going to be putting in your drink. So with him, I felt protected. With him, I felt taken care of. He always made sure I made it to my room. He always,
Okay.
yeah. So he was phenomenal since the he's still phenomenal. He's probably one of my favorite humans out there.
That's awesome. There was another thing I was gonna ask you, but I completely forgot. It skipped my mind.
It'll come back.
Yeah, it'll come back. So coffee. You need coffee
I need coffee.
every single morning. So you wake up at 5 in the morning.
5:30 in the morning.
Is that your usual routine?
Yes.
So what does your morning consist of? Like, for me, I wake up, take my kid to school, I listen to something positive to start the day, and then I drink my coffee, and then I start working.
Me, 5:30 in the morning, go to the kitchen, make them tacos, make sure that they're fed before going to school, wake everybody up, make sure they're changing. My 15-year-old takes forever to get ready. He's worse than my daughter. My daughter
Really?
is homeless half the time. And then my 13-year-old, I struggle with him getting up. Right now, nobody's driving, so I'm still taxi, take him all. We listen to that radio with that second date update or whatever. We're always so intrigued by it. That's just our routine.
Okay.
We'll talk about the day, what they want for
That's
dinner,
awesome.
and
So you kind of
send them
plan
off.
your day
We
with the
do.
kids before they
Yes.
go off into their school.
and then they'll give me the request for dinner, and then we'll do dinner. Dinner is very important in my house.
Awesome.
So as soon as they get home from school, they'll do homework. I'll cook dinner, or I'll pick up dinner, and dinner we always have it at the table.
That's awesome. I think those family values are kind of getting thrown out
They are.
with devices.
They
You
are.
say, here, shut up.
Yeah,
Eat.
no. I want to hear all about their day as much as I don't want to hear about girlfriends and boyfriends.
Yeah.
I do want to hear about their day. I was really excited about doing this, so I kept telling them, they're like, Mom, you're not that famous. I was like, well, right now I feel it. So
No, I think that's the mentality that a lot of people have is like they see all these people on YouTube that are huge stars and they're playing people's games. I mean, they're playing games. Like they're not talking about like real life situations that nobody ever talks about.
And one of the things that caught my attention from you is like, you're the most unfiltered person I know. I am. Not necessarily a good thing because it's gotten me into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But I am pretty unfiltered. Like I said, I've always been one of those. I'm very real when it comes to everything. If a guy tries, I have tried the Tinder app. I did try the Tinder app. And I'm very...
You just reminded me of what I was going to ask you. Go ahead.
Is that what you were going to ask
Go
me?
ahead.
I did try the Tinder app, and that's one of the questions that I asked. It's like, I'm not for bullshit. I'm not going to be your one-night stand. I'm not going to be your hookup. I have too much to offer. I am very stable in my job. I'm doing very well. My boss loves me for the most part, except when I'm nagging. But I'm really good at what I do.
And they just swipe.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah, we don't want to. That's actually my bio. Just kidding.
Just swipe.
We don't need this in negativity. But yeah, so I am very, and in reality, and I hate to be ugly against men, especially talking to you, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, the only reason I would need a man is for his dick. And
Yeah.
I have toys for that. So
That's funny. I heard a statistic the other day that asked if they were asking women, if you were to have married women, actually, if you were to have a second husband for just one purpose, what would it be? And it was for sex. 70% of women said that was just for sex. So I find it pretty interesting that how women nowadays are kind of disconnecting work and relationships. Like they're more, most of them are goal oriented. And the reason why I asked you to come on the podcast is because we're having this conversation at the mall, and I don't find too many women that speak like you do, that they want to conquer the world. They're usually on Instagram taking pictures and stuff like that, right?
well, you still get a dosage of my selfie every day.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. But I'm saying
Still on social media.
like goal oriented people, I think the goal part of it is super important for people to have a map of where they're going to go.
Well, and I feel that that's why a lot of women fall into relationships that are going to fail, because they're settling for something that they think that they need, because they don't have the ambition to go out there and do it themselves. They don't have the ambition to go out there and do it themselves. They're kind of filling in that with a man, like financially or whatever it may be. And then what ends up happening, they end up divorced, they end up separating, something ends up happening because they're not fulfilled themselves. So
Right.
I feel, and I will tell my friends, and I'm probably, like I said, the most annoying friend to have, but I always tell my women friends, like, conquer the world is yours. Why do you feel that you need a man in your life? Plus, now I'm like pro-divorce, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, leave him. You can do it on your own. But I feel that women, that's what one of the reasons women fail. They settle for somebody that is going to help them financially, emotionally, whatever the hell it is. And they kind of stop doing what they want to do because they're worried about the brand clothing they're getting or the brand purses, shoes, shopping, the freedom, the ability to be home. I don't see how people are happy being home all the time. I don't.
I would argue against that because I know some people that do like that. So 7 billion people in this world, right? Everybody has to be a little bit different to enjoy life differently. Do you think that those values of marriage are long gone nowadays? Do you think marriage can last?
I don't believe in marriage anymore, considering everything that I've seen. Not necessarily because of my marriage and because my marriage failed. Just everything that I've seen in the industry and my world and the men that surround me and the women. I have women that are having affairs, long term affairs, and they've happily married for the past 10, 15 years. I have men with the same thing. They have multiple women, but then the woman is happy at home. So I don't believe there's a legit marriage structure anywhere. And no, if I know you're married. I just believe that people are always finding a different type of excitement. After you get married and you're married for a while, the routine kind of overplays and kind of takes over. So there's always going to be something missing. Somebody comes along and then starts talking to you nice, and all of a sudden you start feeling butterflies and excitement. Obviously,
It's a new feeling you haven't felt in a long time.
exactly.
Right.
So you feel that you're lacking that at home, and all of a sudden this guy's doing something that you're not. Because I had an affair. I had an affair for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, why did you have the affair? Let me
Well,
ask you that.
because I was having issues at home, and my issues were um, non-resolvable. My ex-husband knew I was having an affair. I was very forward about it because that's one of the things. I don't bullshit.
Yeah.
He asked me, "You're having an affair?" I'm having an affair. So I had an affair for 2 years, and that affair did exactly what I needed it to do, which was block me from reality and take me away to a different place. And while I was away having my affair, it was kind of just my escape, my breathing room,
Right.
my
So it's like
sanity, my sanity.
It's like your drug.
Exactly.
You're using it to get away from the reality that's going on.
Exactly.
So do you think that marriage can work? And let me ask you this. Do you think it's better to have marriage? Because obviously your kids are starting the dating routine, right?
Yeah.
Do you want your kids to be married, find that one person that they can fall in love with for the rest of their life? Granted, knowing that marriage is hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and it's probably one of the most difficult things that a lot of people can do for a long term, right?
Yeah.
And also take into account our culture here is I think there's 1 million Catholics now in the RGV. So marriage is a huge thing.
It is.
Not to say that since you're Catholic, you're not going to do anything
Yeah.
like that, right? There's a lot of hypocrites out
Of
there.
course.
But do you think that marriage can work for long term? And from your kids'
Point of view.
Point
From
of
my
view.
kids' point of view, I was 19 once in love and blinded. I don't ever want my kids to feel the blinding. I believe that you fall in love and you don't care about anything else. The only thing is that you want to conquer the world with this particular person, and whatever obstacles y'all have, y'all are going to solve them. I want them to think about it clearly. I think that logically you have to make sense of a relationship if it's going to go long term or not. You cannot go based on a feeling of love. Not that I'm
do you
against-
think love exists?
I do. I think there's different kinds of love. I believe in the love for the kids. I believe in the love for another person. But like I said, as human beings, I always feel that you're lacking something else too. I can have the best dating candidate, right? And I'm still gonna be like,
Like the way you put candidates.
candidate, and be like, you know what? He doesn't work as hard, but he has all these other things. Or
Yeah.
he's super sweet and great and caring and corny and everything, right? But he doesn't have the ambition to conquer the world. I need somebody who's going to conquer the world with
Right.
me. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
do I picture myself married ever again and believing in love? I don't think I can be that stupid ever again.
Interesting. That's an interesting take because I feel like a lot of people are moving away from that model. And I think being married does certain things in life. Like for me, it grounded me to be like, okay, well, I don't have to go and look for that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I don't need that in my life anymore. I have what I have at home. It's good. I'm going to focus on my career. But at the same time, now that stuff, when I'm putting my career first, it kind of slacks on certain things. So
Exactly.
that's why I asked you about like work-life balance. Like, how do you deal with it? But I find it interesting because I don't feel like people are having enough conversations about where this generation is going. Like we notice it all the time. Like people are getting divorced left and right. It's crazy.
When back then, in our parents' era, divorce was like, oh my God, you don't talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Or it doesn't happen.
Real taboo.
Really. And even when I was going through my divorce, my dad made it a point to where family and friends, he'd be like, oh, he's away. He's away. That's the reason he didn't come to the party. Or, oh, no, he's working away. And I'm like, Dad, just say that I'm divorced. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. But getting it out of his mouth was an obstacle.
And I think it's a cultural thing.
It is a culture thing.
Definitely. And that's because I met your father once,
Yes.
right? That's right.
well, you know how he is. He's very Mexican.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I find it interesting because we're literally in the middle of our parents' thoughts and of our children's thoughts.
Well, let me tell you this, and I'm sure they're not going to listen to this, so I can talk about it freely. But my parents are having an affair amongst each other. They've been divorced since I was 12, and all of
Really?
a sudden now they're having an affair.
In their older age.
And their older age. My dad's going to be 60 actually next month. And my dad is literally acting like a middle school boy in love. And so is my mom. So seeing that, I'm like, when did the roles turn? Because now I'm like, you guys need to think logically. Like, I know that you guys are in love and whatever, but realistically speaking, like, you have a lot to lose, both of you. This comes out in the air. Oh, we'll start from the bottom up. How do you start from the bottom up at 60?
Right.
So I do believe that there's stages of life. I think my dad was never happy. My mom was never happy. But I see them acting reckless and in love, and it's kind of like, no, you need logical in your life. You need logical thinking.
Well, I think at that point, they live their whole life just working and providing for their family. Like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do.
Fuck it. But because he's worked so hard to lose everything, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I just think like at that point in your like my grandpa's gonna turn 89, and he's probably one of the most. He's one of the most. I guess how do you say it? Like he doesn't want to listen to anybody.
Yeah,
like,
stubborn human
he's
in the
super
world.
stubborn. Yeah, but I think he's just like, you know what? I'm at this age. Like, what else? What else is gonna happen? Like, I'm just gonna go do what I want.
And that's my dad's mentality now. And you have to remember, I'm 36 years old. So my dad's mentality prior to this affair was always like, do what's right, stay in your lane, don't do anything. Remember, your reputation is the most important thing. You know, kick ass, but don't sleep around, right? You know, you're sexually, he's always told me that holds a lot of value. And I'm trying to instill that same thing in my kids, because kids nowadays don't feel that. They feel that, oh, okay, we should be able to explore with different partners. No, you kind of have to hold that value and not just give it up to anybody, because that to me is sacred.
No.
My personal opinion. But now he's like, mija, you need to have fun and YOLO and enjoy. And I'm like, after 36 years of being told not to do certain things, now all of a sudden you want me to be like, YOLO, okay.
Yeah, I think just time changes. Like like even 5 years can change somebody completely.
Yeah.
I think well, actually one of my best friends that was the best man at my wedding, he and his girlfriend were together for like 12 years. For 12 years, right? And she had children, and he doesn't have children. They wanted to have children together, but then after best friends, like, right? And we got to know his girlfriend really well over the years. And then just one day we found out that he was cheating on her, and we didn't know anything about it, right? So it came as a surprise to us. But a girl's mentality towards that versus a guy's mentality towards it, like we don't care. Like, we're guys, right? We just whatever.
It's an affair and it's an affair. Yeah, whatever it is.
But the girls are like, they're hurt about it. Like, I can't believe he would do that and stuff like that. But then, of course, the relationship between them is very personal, so we don't really know what's going on. We assumed it was because he wanted to have children. A lot of us had kids, so he wanted to have kids as well. So, and she couldn't have children, right? So we're thinking that's what it was, maybe.
Because there's always something lacking. Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
I understand. So I get that. I get that. So when you're trying to fulfill that void, right? Do you think that it's a weakness, or is it a strong personality? Because you have a very strong personality. I do. And I don't know. So I'm asking, don't you think it's a strong personality to try to keep it together, to try to make it work? Or is it not? Did you see?
From my point, yes. But I feel that there's, for example, I work all the time. I go to sleep, like I told you, 2 in the morning. I'm doing emails, I'm doing shorts, I'm doing whatever needs to be done. I'm working till 2 in the morning. I'm up by 5:30. If I start dating somebody, they're gonna lack something. I'm not gonna give them my full 100% attention because my focus is my kids and being able to take over the world.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So realistically speaking, if somebody as much as in love as they are with me, regardless of the situation, if I'm not paying 100% attention to them, they're gonna go look for it somewhere else. And
Right.
realistically, I have to know that.
So you have to know that, but you're also saying that you would do it to somebody else if you were lacking that.
Well, see, my affair was, and I'm not justifying my affair. That there was personal reasons behind it. I don't know how personal I can get in this. Okay.
Yeah.
My ex husband was accused of touching my daughter 3 years ago.
Wow.
So that kind of went that way. I still try to keep it together for the kids. He would come home on the weekends. My daughter would sleep in the room with me, or vice versa. We'd had a family image on the weekends, and he'd go to work in Corpus. So I was keeping it together while I was falling apart,
Right.
and this particular human was available for me. And this human's not even from here. He's not local. He's from Dallas.
Okay.
So I would go and run away to do work, and I would be there for a week, and that was my sanity. And then I would come home to my hellhole and do the best I could with what I had going on in my life.
Right. That's interesting that you talk about that because I work for the Children's Advocacy Center of Hidalgo County.
Okay.
And last year, actually, it was probably further, more than a year ago, when we started doing their digital marketing on Facebook, I think it was July, they found the most cases that were reported during like the whole, any time before that. And it was due to social media. Like we're pushing out the word of child abuse.
Yeah.
Child abuse, I think the latest statistic since September 2018 last year to now, they reviewed 10,000 applications, right? These are people applying, like our child was abused, right?
Yeah.
By somebody in the family. But they saw actually 2,000 kids, families, and during that time, that's a ton of thing. That's a ton of child abuse that's going on that nobody has a clue because it's super taboo to talk about child abuse.
Exactly.
But it
Yes.
happens more often, and a lot of the cases, it's somebody that they know, somebody that's very close.
So yeah, it was a struggle because I wish I had a normal divorce or a normal.
We don't have to talk about this if you.
No,
Okay.
it's just getting to where I'm at. I think that emotionally, I was obviously out of my relationship, but I stuck by it because my boys were still small. So I portrayed to have that happy married life and social media, right? That we were always together. And now I looked for somebody else, and I don't regret my affair. I think that that's one of the things that has probably made me who I am. Would I have ever done it in the right mind? Absolutely not,
Right.
because I'm real big on my morals. But I did it, and I don't regret it.
Yeah, I think there's certain that's traumatic experience that kind of pushed you like, you know, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
I think that's the precursor of like why everything happened. But that's interesting. I find that nowadays it's getting very tough to live a decent life because people are capable of so many horrible things.
It is.
And it could be somebody as close as you and me, like right here.
And that's one of the things that I'm just like, okay, look at my situation. I was married for 16 years to a human I assumed I knew, right? And then you have all my friends dating guys that they don't know, welcoming into their house with their kids. There is like, my situation was right there with somebody familiar. What makes you think that you're not going to encounter this with somebody that you don't know?
Right.
So I'm very big on that. And maybe that's one of the reasons that...
You have your guard up.
I do have my guard up, but, you know... Like I told you, it happened 3 years ago, and it kind of helped me set up to where I'm at now because realistically, I was that in love, high school, oh my God, I'd do anything for marriage type of girl. And when that happened, it's like, no, you have to take care of these kids by yourself. You have to make sure that you're stable enough. You're going to have to hustle. You're going to have to work your ass off.
Yeah. And you instill that into your children.
I do.
I'm guessing.
I do.
So a lot of people take these traumatic experiences and they use them to further themselves.
They do, or they fall,
Yeah.
and they fall into depression. And why me? I didn't have the luxury to do that.
Did you go through depression?
I don't think I gave myself enough time to do it. I went into survival mode right away. I knew that what I had known for so long was gonna go away. So I had to make sure that I was able to keep it together. And
So
do
you
it.
just pretty much put work. Do you
Yeah.
think that you'll relapse on that
Well,
if you don't? So, for example, if you don't stay busy.
I do. I do. And I think that I would probably be doing half the crap that these people, that my circle does, is going out, drinking, partying, meeting, hooking up with different guys. I mean, everybody deals with their situations differently.
Right.
I actually am detoxing from alcohol for 40 days for my personal being, my decision I took because a couple of weeks ago, one of my really good friends, her husband passed away.
Oh wow.
And they had been married since they were 16. They're 40. She's 43 now. So she's widowed at 43 and she's going through all these emotions. I literally found her outside her house crying, not being able to go in drunk, going through all these emotions. And I thought to myself, I haven't even done that. I haven't even let my emotions completely out. I've been so focused on kind of going and regaining. I've started drinking wine at night to fall asleep, to be able to sleep. And I was like, you know what? The healthy version of this would be kind of just like detox for yourself. I started praying. One of my best friends actually told me, do this. I've been writing all my prayers and my hopes and my goals down. So that is my routine now versus the having a glass of wine.
Yeah. So do you feel that having that routine has helped you out dealing with this going forward?
It does.
What advice would you give somebody that probably has just got divorced and they're experiencing something like your friend was?
I think that you don't go and jump in the wagon just to try to fill in that void. I think you have to refine yourself again. You lose yourself in marriage. I feel that you don't become. I wasn't Janie anymore. I was Janie and Frank. And it was always what we wanted to do together, what we did together. It was the family unit. So going from that to Janie, what does Janie like to do? What does Janie like to do on her own? What makes Janie happy versus what makes us happy? That alone has been eye opening because now I'm self discovering again. I'm not the same girl that got married at 19. I was a kid. Now I'm 36, trying to figure life out.
Yeah, your whole life has completely changed, and it's
Exactly.
navigated all these roads to get you where to you are. So what does your next 5 years look like?
Well, I'm hoping to take over the world, conquer it all. I do plan to stay here in the industry. I do love it. I've been doing it since 2006. I do at one point plan to open up my own agency and go from there and continue kicking ass and just keep moving forward. I want to be on top with all those multimillionaires with a private jet.
Yeah.
Right? Those are my goals.
Awesome. So, artificial intelligence. I asked this to all my guests that come on. Elon Musk's, he is developing Neuralink. So Neuralink is artificial intelligence tied to humans. So you'll be able to plug yourself into the Neuralink network, upload your memories, thoughts, and then download skills. Eventually, that's the point of it in the future. Are you one of those people that would do that type of thing?
Hell no.
Why?
Because no, there's no need for that. We've gone this far without it. I don't. I'm really against technology. Like,
So let's just say that now. So our older generation, our parents, our grandfathers, they're beginning to slowly die off, right? We're going to be the new people that are going to be where our parents are. Like, how do you text? How do you do this stuff? Do you feel like that's going to be us with that Neuralink?
I do.
So do you think we'll be the dinosaurs eventually?
I do. But I'm okay with that because I enjoy talking to my grandparents and the older generation and kind of hearing what they had to do and how things are so different. I would hope my kids would come back and be like, VHS, what is that? You know what I mean? Like,
well, let me ask you this. So my grandfather, he's widowed now, right? So he is a very lonely man now that my grandmother's not around. But he's in a world now where everybody's on their phone. Even my parents, his kids, are on their phone looking at pictures of their grandkids, right? So how do you feel like, is it for us when we're at that point? Do you feel like it's gonna be very depressing for us? Like we're just gonna shy away from it? Because I think people crave that human interaction.
I do. And the human interaction is not there anymore. It's not what it used to be. Everything is done through texting, social media. I mean, my daughter has, I don't know how many friends on Instagram that she doesn't even know personally. So I don't think the human interaction is crucial nowadays. I feel for us it is, but I don't feel for them.
You use social media for business too, though, right?
I do.
Yeah, that's pretty much most of what I use it for. How do you feel that
You
that-
hardly post though. You don't post.
I don't post as much as I used to. I wanted to be like a YouTube star and all that stuff. I bought a bunch of gear for it, but I found that like I'm kind of just following what people are doing. It's not really what I want to do. I was kind of showing like people like, look, this is where I'm at, and I feel like it's kind of like bringing in envious. Like I want to show people like what I'm doing.
And that's so cliche though. I hate
Yeah.
it. It's like, why are you going to the beach and posting it for the world to see when you're at the beach? Enjoy the beach. Like the beach is right in front of you.
Yeah. So on vacation, I will work because I like to work. Like I'll be. I think when we went to Cancun, I was on my computer at the bar, but I don't like to not be productive.
Well, I work all the time too. I was in Vegas and I was working. I was still answering phone calls, answering emails. My kids were waking up super. I always work, and I think if I had a flaw, and I would be like, okay, this is one of the reasons probably my marriage failed is because I am a workaholic. I feel that I need to work. I feel I watch a movie. I don't understand how humans go to the movies, to be quite honest, because I cannot focus on something for 2.5 hours without thinking about stuff that I have to do.
Right.
I watch a movie at home, but I'm doing 200 other things.
Right.
Like I'm not really paying attention to the movie.
Yeah.
But I'm with you on that. I work all the time.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I was talking to Dr. Chirac, which is a doctor, and she specializes in maltreatment and child abuse. So I was asking her, I was like, well, how does it work? Because I work from this office most of the day, right? And when I have to bring home work after 5 when I have the kids here, sometimes I got to jump on the computer, and my mind's focused on that because I want to get it done and then move on to the next thing, right? And she was like, well, as long as you're providing, you're there mentally and physically, stuff like that, it works. But I feel like sometimes I've been blessed because I can work from home. I get to pick up my kids. I drop them off at school, right? So I feel like that is kind of, I'm in an industry where it's very competitive, and you got to hustle,
That's where I'm at, yeah.
But I feel like I've kind of set my life up to where I don't have to. I'm hustling, right? But I'm hustling. I don't know how to explain it because I do have a lot of time with my children.
Okay.
And I do have a lot of family time as well with my wife, right? But I feel like in this world where you have to hustle. You got to show people you're hustling. That's why I create so much content, because I want to be able to have that content, push it out whenever I want, and it seems like I'm hustling.
But
on
in
social
reality,
media. In
you're
reality,
already that ahead.
I'm available.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think that's super important. Being available for your children, being available for your family.
I agree. And I think that you have to make time for them. And like you said, my kids know. We were in Chicago in March, and I was sitting on the floor working on a policy because they needed help with something, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, sorry, this is what provides for you all. I'm here, and it takes me 10 minutes to do this, and then we continue on our journey. So they've kind of gotten accustomed to that already. I have slowed down on my traveling. I used to travel a lot more. And one of the reasons after my divorce is I felt guilty because I felt like I was at fault. And I felt I was at fault because I was always out. I was always traveling. I was always doing stuff work related to provide for the family, and I felt like I lacked on that. So I have slowed down on the traveling.
That's awesome. I find this new world that we live in, where in the digital world, we can literally create anything we want to be, and you can literally just use the internet, make a ton of money, and versus the other route. And I think that's where a lot of people are going nowadays, that they're understanding like the internet creates these connections, creates these one-on-one personalities that you can extract as much money from the digital world as you possibly can.
Well, I'm gonna go start a YouTube channel right after this. So, just kidding.
So how do you feel about that? Like the digital world that we live in versus the brick and mortar places where people are working, like retail. Like, where do you see that going in the next 10 years in your industry?
I feel that the auto insurance is not going anywhere because we always have that. We still have this old school, which is us, old school, to play with, because a lot of them want that face-to-face interaction. Nobody knows what they're really purchasing online. So I'm hoping that the independent agents still stay afloat, so that way it keeps everybody going. I have an agent here that just opened 12 locations.
Wow.
In the valley, and they would have never thought to come down to the valley. So I think business here is booming, and I don't think it's going anywhere.
Do you feel like you have to leave the Rio Grande Valley to become something, depending on industry, of course?
To a certain extent, I feel there's a lot of money here. They just don't explore it, or they don't use it, or they think outside the box. I think the Valley has a lot of money. A lot of my agents here are very successful. I have agents that are making $20,000 a month commission alone on my product. Not to mention everybody else's product that they have out. So there's a lot of money. I have an agent that his first year on board made over 600,000.
Wow, nice. So what's the number one skill that you think millennials should have, and what's the number one skill you think that our age group should have?
Well, the millennials, I think they need to learn how to talk to people. I don't think they know that communication process real easy. My 15-year-old son went through the drive-thru the other day, and ordering for him was a struggle because he doesn't have that people skill. And I'm like, no, you need to learn to talk for yourself. But they're able to text all day, everything. You know what I mean? So I think communication for the millennials. And for us, I think we're perfect the way we are.
We're perfect.
We're perfect.
Don't mess with us.
Yeah, we're good.
Now, well, okay, before we finish off the podcast, I'd just like to thank you, of course, for your time.
No, thank you
for your
thinking
insight
of me.
in life. I think you're a very interesting individual, and of course, you've gone through a different route than I have, but at the same time, you're still grounded, and you have that work ethic, and you have that hustle mentality that I don't see too many people have, and I think that's what this show is mainly about. It's like exploring people and why they do the things that they do, but in a positive way.
Okay.
Like all the struggles that they've gone through, right? They're accumulated throughout their whole life experience up to now, right?
Yeah.
36 years.
Yeah, I know. I still have like 50 more to go.
Yeah. And actually, I think we're going to live longer nowadays.
I think so too.
But that insight is super valuable for people that want to become successful, that want to have that drive, that want to do something bigger in life.
And women need to have that drive. I feel that women are so dependent, and nothing against men, because there's some men that are equally dependent on women, vice versa. But I think women should go out there and actually show them what they're more than boobs and ass. You know what I mean? Like, they're intelligent women. Out there, go hustle, do it for yourself, do it for your kids. If you're not gonna do it for you, do it for your kids.
Yeah. Show them that.
Show them. Yeah. Don't show them to settle. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So before we leave the show,
You were going to ask me about Tinder, and you completely forgot.
Yes, the Facebook dating app.
I haven't tried the Facebook.
It just launched.
Really?
So I'm interested in how Facebook is gonna use that, but with current advertising, because I can advertise anywhere on Facebook. But I'm interested how they're gonna segment people based off of the app. So will you use the Facebook dating app?
I don't even like Tinder. Like, I only do it. It's like a man catalog, and it's like not even legit. Like, maybe it's the Valley Man. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't go out there because I don't really, if I go out with my girlfriends, but I don't go and mingle because I'm not really interested in meeting somebody in the bar. If you're at the bar and I'm at the bar, that's not, I don't know.
Where's your ideal spot to meet somebody then?
I don't know.
H-E-B.
Target. If they're at Target, I'm like, here's my number.
You must have a higher income than.
I like you. And Walmart, not so much. Just kidding. I'm kidding. I like Walmart too.
So, exploring the Facebook dating app, would you consider it?
I would consider it.
And if you do, let me know what it's like, because if I were to be on that, I'd be dead with my wife.
Yeah, really? I'd be like, look who I found.
This guy.
That's the thing.
He has a podcast, by the way.
That's the thing, though. Like, the half Tinder is like my high school classmates,
really?
and I'm like, no. But I guess, and that aspect, I do think the Valley is so small. My ideal boyfriend would probably be in Houston, where I can see him like once a month.
Yeah.
And then come back home.
I think that's a lot of relationships are going that route, where
Yeah.
you can see each other for 2 weeks and then go about your thing and then go back and whatever.
I just can't deal with somebody who's going to be overwhelming. The Mexican culture is very machismo. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for somebody who's going to be on my ass all the time, because I don't.
You're on the go all the time.
I am on the go.
So before we leave the podcast, let everybody know where they can find you and use your services.
Oh, well, technically they can't.
Okay.
Because
Sorry.
what kind of services?
You cannot use it, right?
What kind of services are we talking about? I don't have those yet. Give me another year. Just kidding. No, actually they have to be licensed in order to be able to get an appointment with me. But if they do have a license, I'll leave you my contact information.
Awesome, perfect. Then we can share that in the podcast notes.
Absolutely.
But once again, thank you very much for your time. And, I appreciate the insight. Last question.
Yes.
all your accumulated knowledge of life up to these 36 years, what is your best piece of advice that you can give anybody?
You can handle it all. Life is a curveball, but you can handle it all. You just have to be strong enough and want it.
Awesome, Janie. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Josh.
Welcome to the Joshua Morales podcast.